what all could be really traced? What are the things that you could really try and trace in this? So you've got the user needs or the stakeholder needs and the opportunities. They're traced to the high level product description or the features. And the features get traced down to the business requirements document and the supplementary requirements, which are basically the non-functional requirements. So these, you can call it as a functional requirement. And this is the non-functional requirement. So this is about how the product would perform. And this is what the product can deliver to the user. So what the user can do with the product is this business requirements. And supplementary requirements are basically how that can be done. Is it done through security? Do you have access? Do you have login? Do you have authorization? These are all security requirements. How well you can do that is basically the performance requirements. Is it quicker? How quicker can I do something, like in terms of efficiency, effectiveness? What about for example, the availability? Is it available 24/7, 365 days a year? Or is it, what are the downtime? Is it not available during some time? Or is it available only for, let's say, during weekends? Because that's when the people have got more time, they can look at this. All of those kind of things you define in the non-functional requirements. And that's what we call as FERPS plus model. The FERPS plus model stands for F is functionality, U is usability, R reliability, P performance, S scalability, and the plus stands for interface requirements, anything that you need to interface with any other system, product, or application, documentation requirements, legal requirements, security, all of these that you connect with, any licensing and things like that. And then once you have defined the functional and non-functional requirements, you have got the test cases which you write. So that again, test cases could be system test cases, acceptance test cases, integration test cases, unit test cases. There's so many different types of testing, right? Unit testing, which is done by developers on the code. Then you've got system test cases or functional test cases, which are done by the functional testers. And then you've got the integration test cases, which is about how this product is actually interfacing and integrating with other elements in the product. And then you've got, what else do you have? Performance testing. Performance testing is about how this product is performing in terms of taking the load. If 10,000 users hit on this particular URL of this site at the same time, would it be able to sustain that load, or would it crash? So that's the performance of a load testing, all those things. And then ethical hacking, you know that, right? So how robust is the site that it is able to withhold and withstand the attacks from malicious hackers and people who have malicious intent to get into the system in the wrong way. So that's where they try and use the SQL injection testing. So making sure that the database is secure. That's where the SQL injection is done. So that is to make sure they block that SQL injection to make it safe and secure. On the database side, they make sure that the front end is all secure and safe. The data is encrypted. Whatever you enter is encrypted as a user is encrypted with 128-bit encryption, for example, 256-bit encryption, and using of public key and private key and all these things, so that the end-to-end transition of the data is all secured in that way. So there's so many different types of testing that you've got to do for software. And now we've got cross-browser testing, cross-devices testing, testing on mobiles, tablets, browsers, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, IE, Edge, Opera, so many different types of testing for tablets, testing for iOS devices, Android devices, so many things, right? So each of these has got its own challenge, and it's so important that we do this testing thoroughly. So our website or application or mobile application, when it is deployed, it gets it gets into the hands and the minds of the users. They're able to actually use it seamlessly, smoothly. So all of these are basically the testing. So this layer is about testing how that could get again traced. So even the test cases need to be traced back to the requirements, right? So that's how this is the forward traceability from the user needs down to the features, the benefits, the functionality, functional requirements, non-functional requirements, and then find test cases. And then the reverse is the backward traceability. So the agile methodology is pretty simple. It's the same as well there. You start off with an epic, and from the epic user stories, from the user stories to the specifics of the description, the acceptance criteria that you write for the story, and then that gets attached to a particular sprint. So all of that need to be again traced back and forth. And in terms of stories, how would you connect to the stories? How would the priorities assigned? What is the size of a story? Remember, we were talking about the um, use user story points or story points, right? The estimate that we give for the sizing of the story. So again, that's important. So estimates of the stories. What is the prioritization in terms of Moscow prioritization? Do we want to give? Is it should be must have, or is it should have, could have, or will not have, or is it important and urgent? Then that gets prioritized. So all of these things are again very, very important, very practically. We'll try and do that for each set of user stories, and then we would say that this is going into the sprint based on all the estimates, the priority, and then we'll implement that into the sprint, and that gets delivered as part of the product delivery. So that's how it's done in Agile. It's again similar, but it's just that you're calling that as epic, and then you've got themes, epics, and user stories and tasks. Whereas in the other, usually this is what we call as functional requirement and non-functional requirement in the traditional way. It's not that different. It's just the terminology that's